Good morning. Today we are going to see about XML injection. How many of you are aware about bug hunting, or how many of you are into web pen testing? Okay. So have you guys heard about XXE vulnerability, or have you found in your projects or anywhere?
Whenever a field uses XML document, in that case we can use XXE attacks using entities or remediations.
Anyone want to answer in a different way? Okay. So we are going to see the entities, whatever you told, like what are the different types of entities are there, what are the different types of attack vectors we can do using XXE. So in this session, we are going to see about the basics of XML initially. So and then we go ahead and see. I took the screenshots of my own lab. So I'll be showing you the demo in the form of a screenshot. You can ask me whenever if you are not able to see, or if you are facing any issues. Do let me know. So a quick introduction. So myself Jashwan, and I work for service now. So I do bug bounties and in free time. So I do contribute to security communities, like we have Null Meetup, we have OS Meetup, so other meetups. So that's about me. So these are the topics that we are going to see today. We are going to see basics and use cases of XML, and we are going to see validations, internal DTT and external DTT, and we are going to see two issues, in-band and out-band XXE at the last. So basically, if you see XML is just like an HTML, it's just like a formatting. It is mainly used to transfer the information. So now let's say you have anyone of you worked in any Android-based applications? Anyone? Have you seen anywhere XML? Where you have seen? The first file you get Android manifest.xml. So XML can be also used as a configuration file where you have some set of settings over there, and where you see the information with the different platforms. So this is mainly used for reading the documents. It has some set of rules where you can define it and you can transfer the information. So this is the structure of XML. So this is an example of the service now one. If you see here, there is a structure defined. It says a notebook. Notebook has a predefined tags, and then you can see the value over there. So now if you are passing an XML to any application, I can read the data inside the tags what it is. So these are the some of the building blocks of XML. So these are the different types of where you can see the formatting where the HTML has. So it has the most important thing that we are going to discuss about the DTT, document type definition, and the entities format. So these are the two most important things which will help in order to find the XML injection attacks. So as I said, so these are some of the use cases. One is the data inter-exchange, as I told, where you can exchange the data with the cross platforms. The other is configuration management, where the one example is, I told, in an Android application you have some of the configurations listed over there, so you can pass it to the app store. So the other is data validation and integrity. So this is very important. So if you have seen the AWS or an Azure, AWS, most of them are aware about the S3 buckets, right? How many of you are aware of S3 bucket? So when you try to access, do you see anywhere XML? What it was? S3 bucket in Amazon, right? When you try to access S3 bucket, do you see any format over there? Yes. What is the, what is the purpose you have used it? Storing the data, whether you're trying to do the data. So, for example, doing any upgrade, so you're taking the data, storing the S3 bucket, and restoring it. So there is any failure. Nice. Nice. Anyone else want to answer? Okay. So there are many misconfigurations as well in the S3 bucket where you allow permissions for everyone. Like how many of you have seen asterisk symbol over there in an S3 bucket? Have you seen asterisk symbol in XML where you can access the data? Okay, I can discuss if you have some time about that. So there are some use cases about the XML. We have seen a few of them. This is mainly to not to the professional people of what I'm teaching. This is only to the newbie people who want to enter into the security. So these are the various types of applications you are seeing. So one example is web API. So if you have any API, you can exchange the data very easily. Or let's say you have some application, you want to know the status. How many of you use Swiggy, Zomato? No one? No one ordered food online? So you might have seen, like, if you have observed, sometimes you get errors, like payment is not failed, payment is not successful, the errors like that, right? So if you look at the back end, if you inspect it, you get the XML errors over there. If you closely look at that, they are trying to do the validation from the XML. So you have the Swiggy and you have the payment interface from the UPI. So they have the validation. If payment is done, you get some value. So this is done through the API. The UPI payment gateway is the API. So Swiggy utilizes that. So the data exchange between the Swiggy and UPI, it goes in an XML form. So these are some examples. The down you can see here the Android manifest XML file, which is used in Android app development. So these are some of the examples. So how to perform the validation. So if you are performing a XML validation, let's say in an HTML, if you are not defining tags properly, it won't show you error. It will directly display the content. But in XML it is not like that. You have to define the tags properly, then only the data will be displayed. So here we have the four things. One is data integrity. So data integrity is like you can't tamper the things, right? So in an XML you can't go ahead and change the values in runtime. Maybe you can try to do using a bug suit and try to change the values, but when you are trying to exchange the data between the API and the system, then so that is why the XML is used for. So it is used for data integrity. The other is compatibility. So as I told, you have multiple systems, like you have Android, you have iOS phone, you have IoT based system. So I'm having a web application, so I can interact with an iOS device, I can interact with an IoT device. Yeah, so error prevention. So we are going to see this in a demo. And the security, it helps to prevent an XML injections. So these are the validations that we have to do as part of the XML. Document type definition. So it has the structure, it has the elements, it has the attributes. If you see the formatting, this is the hacker's handbook. How many of you are aware about hacker's handbook? Hacker's handbook. Not aware? Okay. This is a very old book, but it's really good. I suggest to read this book. When I started my journey, then I went through this book. It is really good. Yeah. So here if you see, I do have the specific structure, right? So when you say if you take a book, what the book can contain in the first page, you see the author, you see the ISBN number. Then after that you see the table of content, you see the content like that. So you have to DTD is like there are some rules you have to follow. So this is how you need to follow. So when you say it's a book, it's a combination of title, author and format. In general applications, how do we see? We see any PDF document. Let's say in the book place you see the PDF file. In PDF you see created by what is the size, what is the time you have to get, what is the location. So when you're trying to perform an XML injection, you try to inject in those fields. Sometimes what you try to get is, when you are not defining in your book the parameters, you will get the error. Like this definition is not defined. So that's how we will come to know, okay, we have to define it and we have to execute XML injection. So there are two types. One is internal DTD and external DTD. The internal DTD where you reference internally only, you call something and you get the output. So external DTD, you will post the file in a different hosting website and you try to call it from there. The extension will be .dtd, any file name .dtd. So these are the XML validations that. So this is an just a pen testing, like this is just a Java application. I took a screenshot of all this. This is developed locally. So here if you see, like people who are testing for XXE attacks, XML injection, right? They might be giving up very early. They might think there is some error. Let's leave it. You're gonna see all kind of XML injection errors here, so that you go ahead and try to bypass those things. So here we are going to understand about what are the different validations that XML has. So one, if you see here, it's a post method. In the post method, you have an XML format of the hacker's handbook. So you have a title and then author and published text. If you see here, the data is directly rendered here. Is it an issue or is it a save? Issue. How it could be issue? Anyone?
Lack of filters.
What kind of filters?
Input validation.
Input validation. Okay. Anything else?
Some OSCP related script tags.
Okay. Okay. Your name?
Begin.
Okay. So his point is there is no validation upon, like there is no any like it can lead to cross-site scripting. That's what we mean. Anyone else? Any thoughts? What it can lead to? Anything any more? You want to answer? You are saying something? No? So there is no validation. So okay, input validation as you told. You can perform SQL injection, right? This is a direct input. You can give the SQL injection. You can execute process scripting. You can execute DDoS attack. You can push the XML bomb in it. You have some specific characters. When you push it through the input, the website goes into the maintenance stage. I think it is a DDoS attack. So you won't be able to access the website. So here if you see, whatever the input is given in the request, it is directly printed in the response. There is no validation. So here if you see, we have the similar same one. If you see, the request is seen, but if you see the error here, which is highlighted in the response, it is saying document is invalid. That means document is invalid. That means it is accepting it is expecting in the DTD format. Initially, if you see the building blocks that we have seen in the DTD format, it has some specific format, right? Document type and some format. So we have to give our input in that format. That is what the error means. The other thing, it is saying it is an internal DTD validation. So when I discussed about DTD validation, there are two types, right? Internal and external. So internal means you define inside an XML tag. When you are defining, say it is like a document type book. That book contains various elements, and then you close that. So when you are giving this, now earlier it was saying we were expecting a document. Now we have gave this document. Now it is. Now we don't see that error. Now if you see data DTD validation for an extra element. Now if you see, the earlier it was only like this until published. Then I got element ISBN is not equal. Then I gave that ISBN validation. Then so this is what in the other HTML or other languages you can't do this kind of validations. When I said about data integrity, when you are saying when I took an example about Swiggy and the payment, the UPI part, you can check if the validation, if you are not receiving an amount, you can direct it through an error. So here you can see here the element type ISBN is not declared. So I have declared it. So here if you see here, after the XML, you see the document type and then you see some external link, app / So that is hosted in my local instance. Or else if you host in an external instance, you will see some IP address or an external website. So the same thing, what are the definition, what are the elements that I have given in internal DTD, I have gave it, but it is in the external format with a .dtd extension. So now if you are seeing here, now it is showing there is a missing element. Right? So again, you need to give it and then it will allow. So most of the pen testers are people who do what they try to do, they will ignore these error messages. Most of the time we find juicy information in these error messages. Okay. So now we will see about entities. There are three types. One is predefined, general, and parameter. Predefined, it represents some special characters. So these will help us to store the values. Like if you see about general entities, like you can reuse it. Like generally what you do, in Java you define something and you try to reuse it in somewhere else. It is in a similar way here. So here what you can, for that, the syntax is this. You have to give ampersand and then a name. Initially you can, in the above XML syntax, you can store some payload over there in the name, and then you can reuse the same. So here in parameter entity, you define some parameters, you pass some values, and you can reuse the same. So this is an example of predefined entities. This is the general entities, where you can see here in the line number 12, you can see here the entity is defined as an author. Here. You can reuse the author again. Here. Then the same will be replicated. So in a similar way, what we are going to do, we are going to define an XXE payload over here in the top. We are going to reuse it in other values, so that we can easily get. So we no need to paste each and everywhere XXE payload. So we can reuse it with the general entity. So the other is a parameter entity. The parameter entity, you have seen the syntax. Start with the percentage, and then after that you will see the value. For general entity, it is an ampersand. For the parameter entity, it is a percentage. So this is just the formatting structure, how it should look like. So these are the type of attacks where you see in XXE. One is in band XXE, one is out of band XXE.